Starting now. This is Real People. Real issues. Real news. Real people.
I'm Stephanie Allensworth, and this is Real People.
This is Real People.
Hi, welcome to Real People. I'm Stephanie Allensworth. Today we have a panel here to discuss depression with us. We have returning guest Kat Thompson from Emotional Technologies, and we have Rockets Redglare from Huna Varuna, and we have Eveyln Lee Jensen with us. We're going to start out today by just getting a sample of what everybody believes the word depression means to them. Kat, would you like to start us off?
Sure. Depression for me, from my own personal experience, has to do with a state of frozenness or a state of terror or inability to move forward. So for me, depression in my life has been a state where I've been unable to take action.
Okay, thank you. Rockets?
Yes. To me, depression is exciting because I work as a transformational body worker and astrologer. And the way the healing process works in every process on Earth is with expansion and contraction, expansion, contraction. And so the way I see depression is a very vital symbol of a state of being that's very necessary for our integration. Because we came from the great oneness, from great spirit, we came down to earth, into a body, into male and female, and that was traumatic. At some level, that was traumatic, that separation, that aloneness. And Carl Jung elucidated on this matter so beautifully in his work about alchemy and soul alchemy, how we need to go into the nigredo, into the dark, into the prima materia, and integrate and become strong to have our own feelings, good and bad, without judgment and without identifying with them too much. So to me, depression is exciting. It's a symbol. It's an archetype that we all share, and it's good work to be done.
Well, thank you, Rockets, for that. Definitely a different outlook on it. I mean, it's, you make it sound a little more uplifting and something that is, workable. Eveyln, what would you like to tell us?
When I hear depression, I think continuous sadness, the loss of interest in things, and just being tired all the time.
Okay. Okay. And I'm going to start with you right now because I know that you've been told that you are depressed by some clinician and that you should be on meds, and I know that you're resisting that. And I'm going to open it up to our panel here because both of these ladies here with us have some good advice, and like we just heard from Rockets. And so tell us a little bit about your journey, and we can all just chime in.
Well, many years ago, the people that I have been around, I had a first unsuccessful marriage, always fighting with each other, a lot of negative, and I've learned that to disconnect from that. I got out of that marriage, and since then I haven't been feeling depressed as much, and I'm around more positive people and have a better relationship with my ex-husband now. I think we get along great, which is nice.
It's always better when he's an ex.
But it's just, I've learned from my depression that I need to be around positive people, positive energies. So I really don't need to be medicated and drugged, so I have no feelings.
Which is so common these days.
Yeah, now I'm free I can feel. If I'm feeling sad, okay, it's all right to feel sad.
Yes,
I know it's going to pass.
Yes.
And I will learn from it.
Kat, what's your take on?
So first time I tried to commit suicide, I was 11 years old. So I struggled with depression as a child, and I would say a lot of that had to do with I came from a very abusive upbringing, and so that definitely had something to do with how I was handling my life or not handling my life. But I never took medication because I was really most interested in understanding how my body worked, how my emotional body worked, how my brain was wired, and that's really been my life's work. And so what I see depression now is that when you have trauma, a portion of yourself, if it cannot bear the pain, will literally break off and go unconscious. A portion of your emotional body will go unconscious. And so depression to me is that slide, it's a cycle, and that when you slide down that cycle, you have an opportunity when you get down to that bottom of matching your vibration to a piece of you that's missing and bringing it back into your life. And I believe that people, when they lose too many parts of their emotional body to pain and they go unconscious, they don't have the personal power to attract the resources they need to live a good, vital life. So then they struggle with survival over and over and over again. And so I teach people like how to go into depression, how to use depression as a way to say something's coming back to life. There's a part of me that's coming back to join in with the family and to bring resources, and I'm going to be stronger, and I'm going to have more magnetic attraction, and I'm going to have more fun, and life's going to be more vital. And so if you can see depression as a cycle that we all go through, people, that's why it was interesting for us to share our thoughts on what depression was, because I think everybody has a different understanding of what it is. But to me, depression was a state where I was unable to really function. And now, when I feel myself going in there, I'm just like, well, going down to a depression. I know exactly what to do. I have my little ritual that I do for myself, and then I work at getting whatever piece is ready to come back to life to come back in.
Oh, that's beautiful, beautiful. Rockets, have you had bouts where you felt, I think I know the answer to this, but a period where you were feeling depressed and didn't really know what to do with it?
Yes, I attempted suicide 3 times in my youth, and that was just feeling like there was no hope to go on with my life for one reason or another. But then I really had to go into it when I was healing a past life suicide. And it took me 3 years to heal that because it was such a feeling charge. It took me 2 years to build the structure to be able to allow that feeling charge to come up and then to integrate it. And what you said makes so much sense, because when I did integrate, that part of myself was a ghost in Europe somewhere. And I remember sitting in my desk at my office, and all those parts of self came back like happy little kids. It's like, oh, you know, it's a cosmic joke, because what we killed ourselves about was an illusion. You know, my husband had died, and here he is, he's fine, you know. So,
wow. So that's a very interesting point, that you were trying to heal a past life suicide.
I wasn't trying to, it was happening to me.
It was happening.
Yeah.
But do you feel like that past life suicide was what was causing this life's traumas?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And same for you, Kat?
Well, yes, I do think that I really think at 65 now, looking back over my life, I do think that you cannot really heal yourself until you take past lives into account. Because we have so many of us come to this life so broken from previous lives. And then maybe our journey here is nothing more than to bring those pieces back to life and put ourselves back together so that we can have a life of joy. We can, and then we can all share, like, living on a wave of joy. You know, wouldn't it be great if there was a wave of joy we could all, like, click into on this planet, right?
Well, they were not afraid to live anymore.
Yes.
You know, because it represses, we're so repressed when we've got these old shadows if we haven't cleared them.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's the inner work that, you know, we're all called to do the inner work.
Yeah.
Right, right. Eveyln, have you ever had thoughts of suicide or attempted?
I've attempted a couple times. The very first time, I took a bunch of my mother's prescription Motrin. And afterward, I was like, Mom, you need to take me to the ER. I just overdosed. And the only thing that happened, I got higher than a kite off of it.
Off of Motrin?
Well, the prescription Motrin.
Oh, sure, okay.
And other times when I've thought about it come close, I stop and realize, like, It's a cry for help for me. I want attention. I'm not getting what I need from people. I feel lonely, so I'm going to try and kill myself, and then guess what? You know, how are you going to feel then? But since I have, I found my faith, and I'm growing stronger and stronger every day with that, and that helps keep me grounded as well. And those thoughts, it's like, it's okay, I don't need attention from everybody. I need to love myself. I've got a loving husband now. Life is fantastic for me.
Can I jump in?
You sure can.
So I find it interesting that you were explaining that feeling, that sort of childish feeling of, you know, you'll be sorry when I'm gone, right?
Yeah.
Because those suicidal feelings are childlike. They're extremely immature, and that's one of the reasons why we feel so childlike when we get down into those deep states of depression. And that's, I think, another reason why we get so overwhelmed, because those child aspects of us don't know how to handle life. They don't know how to pay the bills. They don't know how to get up and go to work. They don't know how to, you know, call the water company and fight over that bill. They don't have those skills. So you're really just feeling one small, immature part of yourself, but we mistake it for who we are.
Exactly.
Instead of for what we're feeling.
We identify with it.
Yes. And so there's times when, this is why I'm so passionate about teaching this work to people, because if you can get down to that piece that is feeling suicidal, if you don't know how to move that back up, that piece could actually take the life of the entire part of you.
You can get stuck.
You can get stuck, and then that piece
stuck down.
Yeah, you can get stuck down, and then that piece has the power to end the life of the parental part of you. And that's why we need to have better dialogues about suicide and depression instead of medicating people, because that is not going to help.
That's disconnection.
It's disconnection.
And so we can't progress. We get stuck. So it's not going to change.
Yep.
You mean with meds?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I know that there's people that'll be like, no, that's not true. We need the meds. And I'm like really interested in hearing, why we don't. I mean, I have to say I don't ever really feel like I could say I've been like clinically depressed in my life, and I've never tried to commit suicide. But that, I'm not trying to say I'm better than anyone. No. But I'm just trying to wrap my head around, the feelings, because I've been bummed out. I've had some bad things happen, but I always look at them as learning tools and things to avoid in the future.
Yep.
Hey, let's not do that again. Learn that lesson, right? But I think more people need to learn how to go inside.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to you, Kat, since I've known you about all this good stuff. And Rockets, you have just been a total inspiration for so many things above and beyond. And I want to bring up one thing with you that might be causing people to feel more depressed and losing connection with themselves, and that would be EMFs. And I know we plan on having a full-blown session on that in a couple weeks. But because that energy can come and bombard you and make you...
Anxiety, look at how much more anxiety we have now. It's really a problem. So yes, and there have been documentations of, like with the smart meters, there is a woman who had 4 smart meters installed outside the wall of where she sleeps with her head, and turned suicidal overnight.
Wow.
Who had never felt that way before, but that bombardment of the negative EMFs caused her to feel something that was very alien to her.
Yeah, and if they're on your house, right where the head of your bed is, it's coming straight in your head. And I think that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? That's just one piece of it. Also, we can talk hormones, how hormones come into it, because as we age, they start to fluctuate on us, and things get a little goofy there. They call it mental pause. At least I've heard it called menopause. But do you have any thoughts on how the hormones are affecting us as well?
I think more than hormones, food. Food can cause depression so quickly.
yes.
I think the kinds of food that you put in your body, so processed food, junk food, food that's made, in a laboratory, those kinds of things can so if you think about the fact that you are what you eat, like we've all heard that, right? You are what you eat. Well, if you're eating something that's literally has never been alive, it's just a whole bunch of ingredients that have been thrown together in a chemistry lab somewhere. And half of it's artificial. How are you going to get any vitality about that? And so if you're putting food into your body that's dead, never been alive even, that is going to impact your emotional state tremendously.
Well, I can definitely agree with that, because as I look back, fast food all the time, on the go, and just like cranky, crabby, and just like I don't eat it as much anymore.
Well,
and I've noticed that much better.
And I would add that depression is so intrinsically a part of relating with the body.
Yes.
When people come out of depression, then they start to take care of their body better, And in the body work that I do, sometimes somebody will open up in a transformational body work session, which is body, mind, spirit, and soul, a lot of energy coming in, and they'll feel happy and expanded. But then there's going to be a contraction, where everything that held them back before is going to come up. And so I usually try to prepare them for that. But then they find it's different. It's not quite as deep and dark.
Yes.
It's not quite as overwhelming.
Well, and they know they can come out, because once you've had the experience of being supported by somebody like you or myself, being supported through that cycle, then they're like, oh, I see where this can go, and now I'm not as afraid. Yes. I have a great, when I first started doing this work of really going back to find my lost pieces and bring them back, one of the things I noticed was that there was a certain period of my life where I lost a lot of my emotional body when I was a child, and I started craving bologna and cheese sandwiches on white bread, and that was what my mother made for lunch for us every single day during this period. So when I would get that bologna and cheese sandwich craving, I knew that I was heading towards one of these younger parts of myself, and so I went to the co-op. I got some really, like the best bologna you could buy, the best kind of white bread you could buy, the best cheese you could buy, and I would let myself have that bologna and cheese sandwich because it helped me to connect with that piece of myself. And then it was like, oh, okay, there's some comfort there, there's some, and then it would come up, and then sometimes it would take me months to integrate that piece of myself, and it would be sort of crazy because it didn't understand where it was in my life, and it wanted to do certain things that I didn't really want to do, and so it can be a process. Yeah.
Yes. Well, everything's kind of a process.
But it is an integration process.
Yeah.
That's what depression is.
Yes.
Yeah. And now, can we talk with you, Rockets, about the astrological piece of this?
Oh,
because
yes.
I know you've got some good stuff.
I
there.
was happy that you were going to do a show on depression, because we are going to be having more depression among the general population as Saturn and Pluto come together for conjunction. They do that once every 33 years. And they really, when they come together, and they first come together January 11, 2020, and this is a very slow cycle, about 33 years. It takes us down into the depths of our soul and into the soul of the world, for deeper commitments. A lot of people are noticing that we have to work harder. The things that used to be easy, they're just not quite as easy. That's because Saturn and Pluto are bringing the whole world a reality check. That's why the weather's cooler. This is Saturn and Pluto. An astrologer can mark the days when the weather's going to be not as warm as people think. Because that's what it takes to bring us down to reality, to the foundation of soul, for strength of character, learning how to commit, learning to be present, learning that mastery that comes over time with perseverance and passion that's made very real on earth.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, so people are going to need more help with depression as we go into the 2020s.
So, and both of you are working at clinicians, well, not doctors, but
Working practitioners.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Didn't quite know how to state that, but so, and your websites will be shown so people can contact you if they're interested, and I know you do great readings too. So,
And I've been writing a lot about it. If people want to look, they can read all they want.
yeah, and I've been, that chart that you made for me, my little graph, I'm like, oh, it's going to be a bad day.
Oh, no.
Or in and about, it's like, but so far,
Using everything for good.
So far, it's like, okay, I'm going to prepare myself
It's
because it
good
looks
to
like it's
have
going to be a little rocky.
Yes.
And
we can make it win-win.
Yeah, and I've been marking it up and saying, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah.
We need to prepare more.
Yeah, right?
One thing that I would say is this Pluto-Saturn event that's going to be taking place is we are all going to be asked to use all the tools we have.
Oh,
it's
yes.
like your time of really like going and studying is almost at an end. It's kind of like take everything you've learned in your life and put it together in a way that works for you. Whatever your spiritual journey has been, pull what works for you out of that. Whatever your emotional journey, whatever you're studying, whatever you've learned, take your inherent intuitive wisdom from your body, from your emotional self, from your spiritual self, and put together a life structure that is going to support you.
Excellent, yes.
Very good, very good. Eveyln, you like to say that you're a triple Scorpio. Let's talk about that. What do you think that means to you?
All the Scorpio traits are triplified. I know that Scorpios are very passionate in whatever they do. So I do like to do photography. So I don't do it just to make a couple bucks here and there. I really enjoy capturing the true smiles and the true looks in people's eyes. Very passionate about it, which can get me into trouble which makes me quite emotional. My kids will contest to that one. I can look at them and I will just start crying tears of happiness and proudness when I look at them, for no reason. Or my current husband, I will look at him and just start bawling and happy tears. And so that passion and that emotional gets...
Well, it's that water.
Oh, okay, I've got a lot of water going there.
Yeah, water's emotion, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So, it's the only thing with the Scorpio, they say that when you make us angry, watch out. That's one thing. I will not physically take revenge. Mentally in my mind I will, but you know what? You guys, you have what's coming to you. I'm not going to be responsible for it.
Let karma do that part, huh?
Exactly. I'm not in that state of my life anymore. I've learned. I'm trying to control some of the emotional stuff. Quite difficult, but...
Well, you're in the right place right now.
Yes.
Because this is what it's about, right? We're talking for everybody's benefit.
Yes, yeah.
This is for everybody that's watching and for us and for me.
Yeah.
Because I think we all can benefit from taking it out of the closet and putting it out there in the real world and talking about these things and not as if it's some sort of malfunction
or illness.
That's exactly,
right.
yes. It's always
it's part of
presented as
life.
an illness or that there's something wrong with you, but it's a natural cycle.
Yes.
It's just a natural cycle.
And like Kat said, our power is in that.
Yeah, it is.
And if we're going to disconnect and deny and feel like it's an aberration, then we're not going to be living our
Yeah.
whole life.
Yeah.
Right. This is so awesome. So let's go through the panel again here and just give us some more thoughts on. We're ticking down a little bit
Yeah.
here, so just maybe your final thoughts on what we were talking about and what people can do about it and how to contact you.
So if you feel yourself getting depressed, start writing everything down that you feel. Just follow your feelings, and see if you can pinpoint where those feelings are coming from. What age are those feelings? And see if you can find that part of yourself and bring it back in.
Awesome.
It's so important to feel the feelings without identifying, as we discussed. It's so important to be okay with that and to take the time to be with that. And so we're developing a neutrality where we're experiencing our feelings with a little more objectivity. And then we're discerning what is the negative message underneath this that I'm feeling right now, that I'm acting out of, that I'm taking as truth. And what would be the affirmation that would heal that? What love do I need to give myself so that I can get this wholeness back that's underneath this great pain and sadness? And you can't go wrong.
And Eveyln, we have just a few seconds left, but if you can.
When
give us
you're
something.
feeling sad and depressed, picture a small child sitting on the curb crying. What would you do with that child? Most people would sit next to them and hug them and say, it's going to be okay. That child is yourself. That was advice was given to me, and it helps.
All right. Well,
Nice.
we're out of time. Thank you so much for being here today. Thanks for
you.
keeping it real with real people. We'll see you next time. Bye now.